All right, I'm sitting in my Jeep Commander Overlander, Project Overlander, because we've got some engine problems. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda. I bought this car and it had a check engine light that would come on and off a little bit here. So I knew there were some issues here, and most of that stuff is emission systems. And so I wasn't too worried about it, but I finally hooked up the scanner to it, and I have two codes here, and they are kind of problematic. One, I can't personally do anything about. The other one, I'm going to give it the old college try, but let me show you what I've got going on. So here's the dashboard. You can see that infamous check engine light on right there. Not a big surprise given the condition and age of this engine, but the two codes that I pulled here is one, catalyst efficiency below threshold. So basically it's telling me that that O2 sensor behind the catalytic converter is saying that the catalytic converter is not working appropriately. That means I need to get the catalytic converter replaced. I've tried, catalytic converter cleaners on cars that had maybe 70, 80,000 miles where there was a chance you could clean up that catalytic converter with some sort of additive. But this has 217,000 miles, so I'm sure the catalytic converter is bad. In fact, I've got exhaust leaks all along the bottom. It's rusty, it's loud. So not only do I know I need really to replace that catalytic converter, but I need a whole exhaust job. So that's going to be something we're going to take to the shop. However, the second code here is a camshaft position sensor, and I think that is generally on the top of the engine here, so hopefully it's not too hard. Although because this car is high and lifted and I'm short and dumb, I'm gonna have to get a ladder out, and hopefully I can figure it out without breaking anything. But hopefully we can get rid of that code before we take it to the muffler shop. So let's see if this guy can replace the camshaft position sensor on an 06 Jeep Commander 5.7 liter HEMI V8. I'm not overly optimistic about this. All right, so to start work on this likely fiasco, I actually need something to overcome my small stature. So I've got out step ladder. It's actually bigger than a step ladder, but it's going to be what I need to get up here and get access to everything. Now, the first thing I need to do is take off this engine cover. And actually, the thing that's holding it down is the oil cap on that far side. So I need to take off that oil cap, and then I can remove the cover. All right, so oil cap removed here. Now I can actually lift this up. There are just some little snaps kind of holding it in, so you can just lift it up and pull it out. All right, so in what is some rare good news, I've got the cover off here, and I want to show you, I can actually see the camshaft position sensor right there. Might not be the easiest thing for everyone to see here, but it is right there. That's the plug, and that's the sensor right there. So I may not actually have to move anything. I think that's a 10 millimeter bolt right there. And so I can just get that out. Probably the hardest thing is just getting the sensor out and getting my fingers in there to disconnect that connector to it, and then putting it back on and putting it back in. So moving this air box intake here, it's probably going to make it a little easier, but that's actually not too bad. So let's get to it. All right, got the intake tube removed, got the connector pulled out of it too. Man, I hate how wires get so fried. I'm going to actually have to put some new tubing on that before I put this bag together here, because I don't want to cook or destroy any wires. But now you can actually see here, we are much closer to getting in there. That's going to be much easier to get to. Not the easiest thing I've ever done, but certainly not the hardest now. All right, I got the old sensor out. I will show you that I used a deep well 10 millimeter and then my wobble extension so that I could kind of crank on it like this just to stay away from these wiring harnesses here. But obviously did not get the connector off beforehand, and I was pulling on it and it didn't seem to want to go, and I couldn't see that it has a latch on the back there. So now I can safely remove this, put in the new sensor, connect it, and reverse everything I've done here, and hopefully it'll work. All right, got it in and got it bolted in there. And probably the most nerve-wracking part of it was I don't have magnetic sockets, so I was worried about dropping that screw down into the engine, but didn't do it. So I have the new camshaft sensor put in, and now I'm going to reverse everything that I've done here, and hopefully the car will run, hopefully. All right, got things tidied back up in the engine bay. Obviously, I can reset to the onboard computer. I'm not going to do that quite yet. Obviously, I know there's another code that's going to come on because my O2 sensors, but I just thought I would try starting it up to see if the engine at least runs. And then I'll go ahead and reset the code, but just hoping it starts up. Ooh, fires right up. Sounds good. Yeah, that check engine light's on, obviously, but man, I can't even feel her idling. She's so smooth. So that's a good sign. So just wanted to show you how to replace the camshaft position sensor. Hopefully your results will be as impressive as mine have been. But I'll put a link to the sensor and all the other stuff that I use to do this job in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.